Now we're doing this shit horizontal, okay? Gotten tired of all the vertical video bullshit. Alright. We're gonna do this horizontal. Hopefully that makes it a bit more watchable. Because I don't know about you, but I hate vertical video. Okay, unless you're watching something on shorts, there's no point to it. But hey, I was going like in and out. But here's my Christmas tree. It's still standing strong. Alright, you gotta check on it every now and then. There's Tails the Fox guarding it. Guarding us as we head out for downtown Brampton. We're gonna go check out Gage Park with nice lights that are still up, no doubt, because who the fuck wants to take down anything in this weather? No one. That's who. Look at that. It's like toxic snow. So this is what I like about this little mutually agrees it's beneficial. And no one wants to take it down. But I fear the day that someone gets the bright idea to fix it up. Because then I'd have to, allegedly, in my opinion, cut open a bigger hole. Got fucking snow in my boots already. What a great start to the journey. It's like snow is built to piss off the human mind. It's cold, it's irritating, it tastes okay, but if you eat so much of it, you get like strep throat or something. Gotta wade through it. Endless blocks of this stuff. Never ending. Never ceases. So how's life so far? The big 2026, I think it's going pretty good for most people. I'm walking snow. I'm gonna hate myself after this. Oh my god. I need new boots desperately. Because I've been wearing these since high school. But anyway, so where was I? Oh yeah. Canada, it's having a rough start to the decade. I mean, 2020 didn't exactly start out right for anyone, but Canada especially, considering that it took less than a decade for the Liberals to absolutely gut my country, and now we're continuing with even more Liberals. So I don't know how many more organs you can take out, but they'll gut it. They'll gut it and stuff it. But so far, everything's just okay. It's the winter season, so no one wants to go out there and riot and protest. No one really wants to say, hey guys, our country's in a fucking mess. Let's go march on Parliament. No one's doing that. But we really should. Before Carney sells BC to China. Although, listen, if you'd rather have Chinese world or the American world, I'm siding with America all the time, every time. Okay? Take Alberta. Take all of Canada, please, Mr. Trump. Please take America. Please take us, make us 51st state. I'd appreciate it. Okay? Maybe the snow peso won't be so horrifically unbalanced. Like, okay. I watch this channel called Nomad Capitalist. Right? Because I'm very intrigued with the idea of just packing up my bags, leaving the country, leaving obligations, and just living in a cheap place like Vietnam, Georgia, El Salvador, because El Salvador recently got there with President Bukele. Say what you will about him, and there's a lot of people who will say whatever nonsense. It's like, oh my god, the human rights. Think about the human rights of the animals that like and shoot people in the streets. And just imagine how terrible it must be for them to finally be in prison, the place that they deserve. People's empathy is so suicidal that they would advocate for an absolute monster over the innocents that they slaughtered. Anyway, El Salvador is finally a country worth living in now. People are going back. People are starting new lives. People are finally happy that they can live in a country that's stable, that has a currency that isn't shitting itself, right? But that's just on the basis that, you know, you just lock up the people that are doing the crimes and problem solved. It's not that difficult. Like, I wish we did that here. So, you know, Soros was smart. He understands that really it's not the prime minister, president, it's not those people who make the true decisions. It's the judges. If it's the people in the court system that can just say, yeah, even though this guy like raped 9 children, we're gonna give him like a $50 bail. It's ridiculous.
Was it like?
Obviously, I'm like exaggerating, but exaggeration in today's reality is pretty much all people do. And you're pretty damn close to it. Because I think after a certain point, all human societies are destined to enter the crazy stage, the stage where all normalcy is completely thrown out the window, where men are women, women are men, and the very idea of being cordial is too much effort, because really everyone else is playing this game, realizing that society is built upon a foundation of rot. No matter what you do, try and change it. So really you're only fooling yourself by trying to play the game properly. People like illegal immigrants understand that. They can completely game the system because we're stupid enough to hand it out. But all the people who actually work and have to sweat for a living, they don't take advantage of the system because for some reason they're so mentally broken that they think that it's unfair. Meanwhile, the people who understand that everything's a grift, they'll just take full advantage of that system. Absolutely zero reasons to have any moral reservations about it. And I also think about like the modern city, modern Canada, and you know, I like to talk about architecture and like the beauty and how it's inherent in all mankind to create beautiful things. But the moment you start to see the decay, the rot present within art, like you notice the regurgitation of media, everything's a remake, remaster, reboot, right? You don't really see original ideas, you see iterations on that idea. Part of that is because the I guess like the capitalistic desire to constantly make money, so you have to go with stuff is safe. You know, you don't take any risk. But another thing is also like the leftist socialist stranglehold that they have on society has really created this kind of ugliness as an objective beauty, because the people that espouse these ideas are outwardly ugly, so they want to try and change and morph reality to better suit their ugliness. And yeah, people say some stupid bullshit like beauty is subjective. Beauty is like 20% subjective. 30% I'd be willing to concede. But the rest of it, all right, the 70%, there's objective standards as to what makes something beautiful. Like, okay, like take a look at this building, right? It is completely devoid of any defining features. It's a gray box with neon lighting. It suits its purpose of existence. You take this skyscraper over here, and while it's not the prettiest in existence, I'd even go as far as to say it's another example of modernity being completely bereft of beauty. It at least has defining features, color contrast, and you could look at it and say, that's a nice building. Compared to right here, the Queen Lynch Medical Center. It is just a box, a brick box. But at least these, was it Bauhaus? I think that's the style name. At least these modern skyscrapers, and you'll see it in Mississauga too, which is probably my favorite skyline out of any city on Ontario that I've been to so far. You'll see it there as well, that there is indeed some semblance of beauty even in the modernistic architecture that seems to put the priority of profit, the priority of making it as inexpensive as possible. Because one, you live in Canada, right? So building anything in this country already comes with a fucking slew of problems, right? Never mind the fact that you're gonna have to cut so much back in order to meet your goal, to meet your destination. So really, what I'm trying to say here, and I lost my point because I'm just rambling here. What I'm trying to say is that Canada has a severe spiritual issue. It's very existential, the point in time that we find ourselves in, right? Like the cost of living is completely just bonkers. It's mind-blowing how a country can ever get to the point where it's just so fucked. There's all these crises. It's so incredibly screwed that you don't even want to see a future in this country anymore because you think it's going to get worse. You think that, like, yeah, the hill is going down, it's going down fast, but now we're digging even more holes so that the hill can continue to descend. All right, like housing crisis, which has started because of a migrant crisis, which is contributing to the job crisis, which is contributing to this political and cultural rupturing where Canada is no longer a nation, it's an economic zone. You know, I'll keep on saying this till shit gets fixed. The economic zone of Canada is truly what we've become. I mean, Trudeau, when he said that we are the first post-nation state, he wasn't like trying to say some nice soundbite. No, he and Carney both are blatantly just saying what is already true, that we are no longer a nation. We are merely a zone for people to do business, all right? Canada, as a multicultural society, is not a nation. It is a business zone. South Africa, a multicultural society, is no longer a nation. It's no longer even a business zone because who the fuck wants to invest in there? But Australia is going through that bullshit as well. Australia, with its Canada, Australia, New Zealand, America, these places have had culture and identity for around 200 to 400 years, okay? Ever since their founding in the colonial period. And now we're just being told that all of that does not exist. All of that does not matter. All of that shouldn't matter. And if you complain about it, you're actually the bad guy. Like the amount of ideological buck breaking it took in less than 2 decades to convince the entire population that you should just throw away centuries of hard work for the sake of dollars and people who are quote unquote less fortunate than you. It's crazy. It is actually insane. But that's, we live in the end times. That's okay. There's no point in worrying about that, because I'm not black-pilled. I'm not depressed. I'm not worried in the face of the great cycle, because I know that even when Rome fell, there's still people around doing things. Like, Rome didn't just explode and then we had to start from square one. All right, it's not Fallout. You don't get the Great War reset button and then you start again. You begin again. No, things will gradually get worse, and then an explosion of violence or civil unrest or famine will occur, which will then spur new, greater, stronger, or perhaps more turmoil-ridden societies, which, for better and worse, will start the new era. All right? Have you ever heard that saying, as the old world dies and the new one struggles to be born, we're stuck in the middle? That's what it's like, because ever since World War II, that order, that liberal world order that we kept so high and mighty, we kept it for nearly 80 years, it slowly eroded and disintegrated, where at the turn of the millennia, we really lost any reason to keep fighting. Our greatest ideological enemies were vanquished. We thought that history would end, that it's just the endless liberation forever, endless progress. And now, look at where we are, standing at the brink of civil war, societal collapse and upheaval, and in uncertainty in Canada, an uncertainty across the Western world, really. That's why there's so many people that want to become these nomad capitalists and move to like Cambodia or Bermuda, like just move to cheap tropical or European cities that are so easy to live with your Canadian or American dollar even, and have to, just avoid all the bullshit that is currently happening and is going to ramp up as things go on. I've been playing a lot of Fallout 3 and New Vegas, flip-flop between the two. And I like those games a lot. And there's something very, very interesting about the post-apocalypse that all mankind is interested in. Like, whether or not we know it, psychologically, we do acknowledge the fact that all things must end. All of society is eventually going to have a reset. It needs to, right? Because rot sets in, it needs a cleaning up, which is a massive job. We set it back up again just for it to rot. Mankind's curse is to reach far heights and then fall hard just to climb even higher. But that's also our blessing, Ever since Eve ate that goddamn apple, we've been forced to live an existence of suffering. But that's for the betterment of us. Because without suffering, there cannot be pleasure. Without something to obtain, something to run away from, there cannot be any accomplishment. Without the wolves nipping at your heels, we would have never invented boots and armor and whatnot. Without some other tribe attacking this tribe, we would have never got to the point where we have cars and medicine and technology. All of life's pleasures, all of life's technology, all of the stuff that has ever happened is because we have been at constant conflict. And it's only after immense periods of great turmoil that is when mankind shapens up, gives us like maybe a century of peace at best, and then we do it all over again. War is the mother of invention, and then I guess peace is the father of war. Like what I'm trying to, like, you get what I'm trying to say. Nothing stays stagnant. Nature abhors stagnancy and furthermore a vacuum. It will always need to be filled. We will always need to be moving. And that is what happened to society. We became stagnant. We became basically unwilling to defend ourselves, unwilling to reinforce the idea that yes, we are nations, we are a people, and we just gave it all away because it's easier to concede than it is to say, wait, I need to get out of my goon cave, all right? I need to stop gaming and fight these straight up invaders, traitors, mutants, and heretics, okay? And that can be any group you want it to be, okay? I'm clearly speaking from a more conservative-minded position, but everyone realizes that your position in politics is what dictates your worldview. We no longer live in a reality. We live in an ideological reality where truly the only thing that dictates how you see the world is how you see politics. And if you do not see politics, if you're unaware of politics, for better or worse, then your viewpoint on the world is the surface. So like, if you don't have any religion or any metaphysical beliefs, then you are clearly just bound to this earth. And without ideology, without any higher form of thought to get you thinking about the grander scale of the world, you are kind of stuck as an NPC, for lack of better words, a literal NPC. Okay? And some people, good. If it means that they never have to go through the sorrow of realizing the destruction of their ancestors' countries, or have to realize how incredibly corrupt the degenerate ruling class is, good. Ignorance is bliss. It's a saying for a reason. But road closed? Fuck. But I think truly, if you do understand history, if you do understand the great cycle, then you shouldn't be fearful of what's coming. You should just prepare yourself, because all human beings in every generation have a great test, and that test must be answered. You can't skip it out. There's no sick days, okay? There's no dropping out and having a shack in the woods like Teddy K. Okay, you have to fight eventually. It's the law of the world. The law of mankind. Anyways, enough about like the pseudo-philosophical ranting that I'm just saying off the top of my head. I also want to talk about the post-apocalypse, because people always assume that, oh yeah, when the post-apocalypse comes, I'm going to be like gun-ho, I'm going to be like the fucking, what's his name? Not Scrotus. Who's the Ayatollah of rock and rolla? What's his fucking name? Like the big guy from Mad Max 2. Humongous, that's his name. Humongous. Yeah, everyone assumes they're going to be humongous when it comes to the post-apocalypse, but really you're either going to be like a slave, maybe like cannibal meat. Maybe you're just going to be straight up dead when the bombs drop. I'll tell you what, I have a plan though. I have a real actual plan, and it's completely based on me getting to America, buying a plot of land, forming my own city-state, and then building a bunch of bunkers underground. So if you wanna be a first honorary ticket holder of Viberia, then donate to my Ko-fi or whatever it's called, and you can get yourself free admission to Viberia once it exists. This is not a scam, all right? This is charity. Charities aren't scams, right? Here we are, downtown area, Cedar Lane. See, I'm pretty sure that if Canada does become like the 51st state, which I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think the whole of Canada, but maybe Confederation falls apart and all the provinces go off on their own, or there's like middle Canada and then Western Canada, like it breaks apart, it becomes something truly horrendous. But I don't see that happening either. Like, either Alberta becomes annexed, becomes part of America, and the American silhouette looks terrible on a map because now it has like this giant protruding hemorrhage in the north, or something like the Greenland deal. Because okay, let's be honest, right? The art of the deal, Trump's art of the deal. He just stinks you with a ridiculous claim. Absolutely ridiculous. All of Canada? No, that's not happening, bud. But I do want a part of it. All of Greenland? That's fucking stupid. But I do want a quarter of it. So it's like that's the tactic that we're working with here. Is it's like, I want all of Canada to be the 51st state, but that's not going to happen because, one, why would you want a bunch of shit-libbed Canadians to be part of America? That ain't happening. Okay, you take in 40 million of us, Republicans are never winning another vote. But if you do take in a bunch of Albertans who have been, ignored for decades, who want their industry to really skyrocket, but because we have a bunch of retards in power, it's never going to happen. You can get the Albertans to separate. You can have your own separatist movement. That might be possible. Love him or hate him, I at the very least hope that whatever happens, it really gives Canada a severe kick in the ass and makes them reconsider how society is ran and how we do things, because our country is just a giant Ponzi scheme and money laundering scheme for this crooked elite that only exists because bureaucracy and corruption runs so rife that these eternal political dynasties can just never lose their grip. It's ridiculous. I see great potential in Canada. I do. I always say this. It's a country that could be so much stronger than what it is, but we're held back by our own leaders. We're held back by all the people who are so mentally buck-broken by the media that they vote against their own interests and they actively support policies that hold us back. We're 40 million people, and despite having less than half the population of Russia, we have an equal economy. Imagine how much greater it could be if we opened up our industry, opened up our natural resources, and opened up our ability to expand. We could be so much more strong, so much better than our neighbors down south. We could be equal to them even. I see great, vast potential in that as well, despite the frozen, frigid landscapes that basically have zero living potential. The resources that we can scrape from that could provide us with a sovereign wealth fund like what Scandinavian countries have, which we could use to fund all these great projects. People talk about high-speed rail, and all of Asia, I say all of Asia, like Japan, Taiwan, China, they've been able to get this high-speed rail going. But yet, here we are, just dealing with constant delays in construction, dealing with just constant disappointment at every angle of our government. And I'm sick of it. So many people are sick of it. But it's like, what are we to do? How much protesting and how much crying in the streets can you do before you realize that not only do they not give a fuck, but they're not afraid to say they don't give a fuck? I voted for Pierre, and I truly wanted Pierre Poilievre to win. And I believe that if another election is held, if the Liberals don't fuck everything up and import a million more voters, then I truly believe that we can get a conservative government, hopefully a majority, and turn around the destruction that has happened in our society before it gets any worse, before we just get completely destroyed forever, and the only solution is either some big, massive separatist movement where Confederation breaks up, Canada is no longer a place, or Canada consolidates its power across all provinces and it transforms into like some horrific UK-style dictatorship. Because let's be honest with ourselves, the UK is a dictatorship. There's no mistaking it. The United Cuckdom is a polite dictatorship. It's not even polite anymore, really. And they're not even trying to hide the fact that Islamists control basically every major city. But, you know, there's people, like I said, they're so ideologically captured, they just see a completely different view of reality. They don't see reality. They see their version of it. Look at the pretty lights. See, this is what my tax dollars are good for, actually. This is why I pay taxes. So that my city looks pretty during the winter time. Who knows the future of the Union of Soviet Socialist provinces? I do know one thing, though, is that nothing happens. Except for when it does. You know, a whole bunch of nothing culminates into something. I'm pretty sure that's the entire Big Bang Theory, right? It's a whole bunch of nothing that came together, and then that one big nothing exploded into a trillion somethings. I'm nearly certain that that's how the theory went. A big bonfire. We're gonna go back to Gage Park. We're gonna walk through the pretty lights for a little bit. I don't know. I haven't really had anything planned for this stream. I just wanted to get another one out because I haven't done it for a while. You know, some thoughts on my mind that were very unorganized, so I just had to spout them out there. And hopefully someone listens to this or someone's hearing the audio version, if the audio is even clear. I mean, with all the cars and with my shit-ass microphone, maybe I'm not getting anything across, but at least it looks nice. But I think that if we are to break down what's going to happen in the next 4 to 5 years, 4 to 8 years, I do see, at the very least, like revolutions and wars and places that were once peaceful completely destroyed by civil conflict. And a new chapter of history will be written. Will it be the Chinese century? Or will the West reignite its vigor on the world stage? Who knows? All I know is that if I had to choose where I'm fighting in World War III, either Taiwan, the Ukraine, or like South America, you know, I always wanted to visit South America. And I feel like you have less of a chance of getting drone striked in South America than you do in Taiwan and Ukraine. Which, I mean, drone warfare is just so gay. It's so gay and dare I say, Semitic. All right? It's like this form of warfare that makes life basically worthless, makes any advancements purposeless because you can just bomb them from a distance. At this point, I think drone warfare's only purpose is to completely destroy any semblance of honor that war once had. And it makes it a well-oiled, machine that just sends people to die, as some 18-year-old in Korea can suicide bomb you from thousands of kilometers away. And it's scary to think about. You know, unless you're a skeet shooter. If you're skeet shooting, then you're enjoying that drone warfare. Because it's just like back at home, am I right? Gone are the days of guerrilla warfare being fun, hiding in the trees with your boys. No, now we're just gonna burn down the trees and then send a drone directly to your face. There's a pretty interesting thing about drones. So like in correctional facilities, you know, prisons, they'll have drones that will just go over top, drop drugs directly into like the yard or like whatever, and then they just go and pick it up. And they have, if you've seen pictures of those anti-drone weapons that basically just block the signal and shoot them right at the sky. Yeah, that's what a lot of the correctional officers use nowadays. Because, you know, what the hell are we doing? They're just gonna fly into our airspace and drop drugs like nothing happened? Utterly ridiculous. Which, you know, if you wanted to hypothetically start your own terror organization, you know, if you wanted to like liberate the UK, for example, what you could do is just buy a bunch of drones, create a bunch of Molotov cocktails, and just fly them around the cities, dropping them on key points, key positions, and, you know, go back for refuels. You could create fire and chaos across an entire city, hypothetically. You know, if you truly wanted to do a V for Vendetta, but you don't have any bombs, you can't do a Guy Fawkes gunpowder plot, then you can do a Magellanum drone fire plot. Hypothetically, of course. I mean, you wouldn't want anyone to actually do this, right? Like, imagine the chaos, the damage. I mean, imagine the billions of dollars of damage. That'd be too much. But, you know, I'd never condone something like that. I would only, like, draw up plans and work out the cost. Work out the cost. But I would never, ever advocate for burning down Westminster Abbey with a whole bunch of drones and Molotov cocktails and liberating the British people from their traitorous government. I would never advocate for that. Never, never, no. No, in fact, I like the UK so much that I was thinking of moving to London and personally getting stabbed. I don't know whether or not to get stabbed by... Okay, I'm stopping this joke right now. Point is, don't do terrorism unless you're going to win. Because like they say, it's only a war crime if you lose. You know what I'm saying? All right, that was a bit ridiculous. Where do we go now? I could just like walk further down that way, but you know, I think we've done quite enough. But I do have like a good amount of stuff to talk about. Like, I've been thinking of planning out trips to Cambodia because I have a huge appreciation for I guess the modern history of Cambodia and what happened there, and how even after so much turmoil, like nearly 20 years of complete hell. You know, if you look up the Khmer Rouge and Pol Pot, what that monster did to his own nation. It has been once said, no tyrant is more cursed than the one who would burn down his own nation just to rule over the ashes. And he ruled over ashes plenty. And he got to die peacefully. There wasn't any Mussolini-style execution, right? There wasn't any, like, Hitler in a bunker moment. No, he died peacefully at his home with dementia, completely unaware of just the evil that he brought to his country. So it's amazing to see that Cambodia, after being liberated by the Vietnamese, they became stable. They became peaceful. They became a country. Well, I mean, obviously not everything's roses, right? Crime, gangs, corruption, what have you. But at the very least, they're rising from whatever hell happened to them, which is great, and it's worthy of visiting. It's a beautiful country. I have huge appreciation for the Khmer architecture. I guess if I had to pinpoint it, if you ever played Dark Souls 1, and you go to Lost Izalith, the demon ruins, that city has a lot of architecture indicative of Phnom Penh and the Khmer, which is like this ancient Southeast Asian civilization that seemingly just disappeared as the jungles reclaimed their buildings that they left behind because of like floods or some natural disaster. And I would love to see those ancient ruins, but I'd also love to experience just the life, the city life. Like, in North America, maybe Europe, there's all cars. It's all cars. Barely is there like a bike or a moped. Southeast Asia, because their countries are, kind of small, kind of thin, they heavily rely on the bike. The bike is the lifeblood. And I respect that. I would love to live in a country where the entire travel is based on bikes. And yeah, it's probably noisy as hell, probably chaotic. And for someone that is older or autistic or just doesn't want to deal with all that noise and bullshit, I can see why you would hate it. But riding on bikes are pretty cool. Got a motorbike. I can go from North to South Vietnam. I can travel anywhere. A motorbike, sure, you can't carry all your belongings in there, but with a car, I got to worry about all these laws, hitting someone, and insurance. A bike's cheap. Bike is cheap. You can get an e-bike. You don't have to pay for. Well, I mean, it's probably better just to get an actual gas-powered bike, because what, you're gonna get a bucket of electricity if you're lost in the middle of Vietnam? Didn't think so. So that's one of my trips that I'm planning. Either I'm walking around and vlogging my experience in Vietnam, like so many other people do, like what I'm doing right now. First person walkthrough, which I have to look at the law, because I know in Canada, North America, and lots of Europe, there's like an expectation that if you're in public, you're being filmed somewhat. If you're in public, there's some CCTV, some building, someone is keeping an eye on you. So we'll just let private citizens record as they please. But in Asia, I feel like Asian societies are a lot stricter, not only when it comes to their freedom of speech law, but freedom of recording. The freedom to just point your camera in the air. Like, I'm not recording anyone in specific, but I do know that someone's going to pass me by, and I try my best not to record them, because not everyone wants their face on the internet, but it's modern society, all right? Get used to it. We're going to cry about it, okay? I'm recording in public, okay? Deal with it. This isn't a Muslim country, right? Where they have some insane laws about recording stuff. And that's crazy to me too. Is when in the UK, the new imports, they have the gall to walk up to people like, you cannot record me. Like, fuck you. I'm trying to come here and dictate whether or not I can or cannot record. Like, I get it, okay? If I'm going to Cambodia, Vietnam, and they tell me I cannot record, I'm a visitor in that country. I'll turn my camera off immediately. But if you're visiting my country and you're telling me all this bullshit, then cry about it. Okay? I suffer. Alright, hold on. Just had a quick call from my free beer delivery service. Where was I? Oh no, I was probably talking about like how if I'm in Cambodia, someone yells at me, "Do not record!" and then I won't. Speaking of countries that are in Asia that I'd want to visit, but probably wouldn't because it's a fucking dumb idea to visit. India, Bangladesh, Pakistan, right? I mean, come on, guys. Let's be honest here. You're only visiting those areas if you're from there, if you have family there. Me, as a white individual, as a skinny white man, Christian man, loudly outspoken in a very dirty, noisy country. And, you know, I mean that not necessarily, I do mean it as a bad thing, because come on, let's be fucking honest. But I mean it in the same respects I mean towards Vietnam, Cambodia. It's like all that traffic, all that congestion, and just the haze of a city life. Like if you look at any modern city in the West, yeah, it can get noisy. It can get a bit rough. But you go to India, videos of all those cities and towns and the utter congestion. I forgot the name of it, but like the phobia of the third world, of basically these massive, just hive cities that are so dense with squalor and people that it really turns me off from ever wanting to visit, because I would love to see the beautiful temples, the beautiful historical sites that exist, but unfortunately it's ran by garbage. All right, it is completely rife with this air of toxicity. Like, I get it. Probably if I went to go visit England in the 18 or 1700s, all right, I'd be choking and gasping because the Industrial Revolution just started, right? But I don't think that in the modern era, when we have access to technology, money, and such a large workforce, I don't think that there needs to be countries that live like this. Like, my country is good for now, but there's still areas that are completely filled with trash. Like, you go to Hamilton and there's depressing corners of just straight up garbage. You know, Brampton has trash areas like any city, but for now, I think there's some common idea in this country that, yeah, maybe we shouldn't throw trash around. Maybe we shouldn't have a completely destroyed ecosystem, because we have children and grandchildren we want to consider. And in a lot of parts of Southeast Asia, in a lot of parts of Africa, they straight up do not give a fuck. They straight up do not even think that the future exists. So why even bother cleaning it up now? Like, I am so incredibly pissed. Like, I'm not an Earth Ranger. I'm not one of those eco warriors. I'm not one of those people. It's like, global warming's gonna kill us all. I'm like, oh my god. No, shut the fuck up. Okay. Global warming is not as big a problem as we make it out to be. Okay. Climate change, all that world-ending doomerism, right? That stuff is so hideously overblown, because it was there for the elect purpose of giving these liberal types more and more power and discrediting their enemies. Is it happening? Yes, undoubtedly, the climate changes, as it has been since the beginning of mankind, since the beginning of the planet, for that matter. Now, our effects towards it, yes, okay, undoubtedly burning up carbon does that, but at the pace that we're doing it, at the rate that we're doing it. That's not what's going to cause the apocalypse. What's going to cause the apocalypse is a bunch of brain dead morons, liberal types that want to constantly gain more and more power by asking the common folk to cede more and more rights and more autonomy over their energy, over their food, all of this. We are going to sow ourselves into an apocalypse of our own making because it's convenient, this convenient lie that the earth is going to boil or it's going to completely freeze over within a decade, within 2 decades, if we don't stop burning oil, if we don't stop driving, if we don't stop whatever. So you go to these countries that are completely filled with just the industrial might of Europe 200, 300 years ago, and they are exporting all of this carbon into the air, and say, why isn't anyone pointing the finger at them? Why isn't anyone saying, yo, you gotta stop it? You know why? Because not only do they not want to be poor, right? You're not going to convince them to stop being poor, because the moment they stop those factories, the moment they stop industrial business, is the moment that their country's fucked. Not only that, but the power that comes from being an industrialized nation makes them look at all the other ones and how, Europe mentally broke themselves and say, okay, you have absolutely no right to tell us anything, okay? You spent hundreds of years industrialized, but now because you're sitting high and mighty on the pedestal of first world nation, you think you can dictate to us. Liberals are just as racist as anyone else, but their racism is exclusively for like the way that a mother treats a child. It is this kind of contempt for these lesser educated individuals. They'll never say that outright, but it's this contempt for the idea that these people, they haven't had the centuries of experience that we had, so we need to step in and tell them how it is, because truly they're children. Really, they just don't get it. No, they get it. They understand 100%. But they realize that you guys belong in a mental asylum, and the world is moving forward, and there's nothing that you can do to stop our nation from surpassing yours. So all your words, all your legislation is nothing but another suicidal self-flagellation in the face of a world that is moving faster than they could ever hope to understand. Fucking hate liberals, man. Hate them with my chest, hate them with my heart, hate them all the time. It's a crime what they do to us. Make us ride on the bus, get stabbed in the neck, and I don't know what the feck they are doing other than giving him bail and having in mail in ballots. All right, well, that was almost good for like half of it. Anyways, my slam poetry, that's how you defeat the liberals. Play their own game. Defeat them in slam poetry. Defeat them in the marketplace of ideas. Which, once again, normalcy, it's on hiatus. It's on pause, okay? People are so ideologically captured that you can see the flag waving out of their brainstem. There's some people, and I'd say it's most people, that you cannot convince otherwise, because it is easier to convince someone that they are, what's that saying? It's like, it's easier to, I forgot the saying. Man, I'm usually really good with like remembering quotes. It's like something where it's like, yeah, it's really difficult to convince someone that they've been fooled than it is for them to accept that they're wrong. I don't know, but it's cognitive dissonance. Basic cognitive dissonance dictates that you spend your entire life thinking something is true, that the moment something comes to contradict it, no matter how much it may hurt your feelings, you will bend your own reality so that you don't have to ever come to terms with the fact that what you were thinking is wrong. Do I do that? Of course. What human being doesn't do that? I feel like if you're a flip-flop person that constantly switches their mind depending on what some pseudo-intellectual says, you know, if you're like, oh, he has a point, but they also have a point. I just can't make up my mind. Like, I want to know who those voters are that can't make up their mind. Because in polarized societies like ours, you are either on this camp or that camp. Or you know, if you're an intellectual like me, you're on your own camp, right? But failing that, there's some people out there which like they wait till the last second to spot NDP, conservative, liberal, Bloc Québécois, People's Party, that's where it's at. It's like I wanna actually meet those people that take forever to decide their vote. But then there's also the insane people that they vote blue no matter who. Or I guess in this country you vote red even if you're dead. And those people, special type of insane, because I guess I'm insane too, because you realize that, yeah, my sports team, my Blue Boys, they didn't get in last season, but this season, this is the one. Oh, we're gonna vote her away. No. So I still want to know how some of these centrists, these registered centrists, really pick their candidate. If they pick any candidate at all, and they just joke about it because they realize that democracy has been a giant scam for like 50 years now. And I say 50 years because, oh, ducks. We found a coven of ducks. Look at them, they're all built up over there. It's gotta be like 100 of them. I hope the water's warm, guys. A wholesome avian life. Please God, if I die, reincarnate me as a lobster or a duck or a penguin. Reincarnate me as that penguin, the one who sets out for the mountains. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna set out for the mountains one of these days. I'm gonna find myself a mountain and climb it to the very top. Claim it as mine, plant down my flag, and build my city. And hopefully, through the right of, what's that called? Where if you build something on land that wasn't there before, through the right of building something, it just becomes yours, no matter who owned it. I guess it's something like that. But I am that penguin. We are that penguin. I have my driving test tomorrow. Get my full-on G license. Because in this country, there's 3 steps. G1, it's just the written test. That's your learner's permit, essentially. G2, that's your drive test, road test. That's where you do most of the driving, but you do not touch the highway. All right? Parallel park, 3-point turn, no highway. G test, that's when they finally sit you down and say, all right, you're in the big boy leagues now. You're full G, you're full license. And then you don't have to renew it until you're like 70, when they realize that you're too senile to be on the road, so you better get your test. And then when you're 90, they just take it away from you no matter how good you are, no matter how apt you are. Oh boy, I love me some nanny states. There's dead air! There's dead air! I'll do some other trips. Other than Southeast Asia, which I'm not trying to be a passport bro. Okay, I'm not going there to smash. Well, maybe, yeah, God willing. Maybe. But it's just solo travel, getting out on your own, going to a country where there's zero obligation to anyone else other than yourself, and of course the people of the nation, because you're a visitor. There's something liberating about the change of scenery, because I can travel across Canada and see all the beautiful landscapes, meet all the different people. I can do that as well, which I plan on doing. But getting on a plane, going to an entirely different continent, time zone, whatever, just completely shaking up your very mind, right? Because it has to adjust to that. There's a certain study that says that travel does increase your neuroplasticity. It does make you smarter, because it forces you to constantly believe in your instincts and to think harder than you would in a place of comfort. So I guess it's also personal journey. That woman view of, I'm out there to find myself. But it's true. I mean, people, I feel like, either never grow into the person that they want to be, or they become someone that they did hope they would be, but they realize it's not what they envisioned. They need a reset, a mental refreshment. And travel is the one way to do that. It's the only way to do that, really, because in today's oversaturation and overstimulation of content, of information, of everything being directly programmed into your brain, being directly sent into your ear with these earbuds, everything is constantly surrounding you. No matter where you go, you are surrounded by the world. And I'm saying that because you literally have the world, the internet, in your pocket. It's quite fitting that the symbol for the internet is a globe that has a net around it. Because that's what we have done. That's what mankind has accomplished. And it's a beautiful thing. But we are now seeing the effects of what postmodernity has accomplished. With like the loneliness epidemic, the crisis of migration, the crisis of purpose, the crisis of identity. All these different problems arise from the fact that not only do we have the world in the palm of our hand, but we are ever so distant from understanding it, from fully grasping what is right there. You can imagine the type of psychological damage we've done to ourselves by giving everything to us, by giving us all we want. At this very moment, we have irreparably damaged the psyche of mankind and made it so that culturally, not only have we stagnated, we've regressed. Ideologically, we're no longer able to figure out what we truly need, what we truly want. And really, it's scary. But like I said, I mean, I'm a believer in eternal life. in the great cycle. I'm a believer that no matter how bad things get, it was always destined to turn out this way. And it's always destined to get better. Undoubtedly, you're going to have to suffer, but the only way to heaven is through the rocky road of hell. And as Nikita Khrushchev in The Death of Stalin once said, who the fuck would want everlasting life? I do, okay? Give me that immortality and eternal youth so I don't end up like Hephaestus. But give me that. Give it to me and make me immortal. Although, I mean, then again, I think that's another thing that people need to come to terms with, is that we're all gonna die. Like, people say that, yeah, we're gonna die, yeah, YOLO. Like, everyone understands that they are going to die, but for some reason they don't seem to understand that you are only ever going to live once. So why bother thinking on the nihilistic implications of the when you should realize that you get 80, maybe 60 years, all right? 60 years at worst, 80 years at best. Anything beyond that is a roulette wheel. So, all in all, focusing on the end doesn't really help you, does it? Now, the people who are like, oh yeah, we're gonna die, so I can do whatever the fuck I want. That I respect. Doesn't mean being an asshole. You can be a little bit of an asshole. You know, if some greasy, weaselly, soy boy, fucking, like, absolute cuck, Norwood 5, if he comes out and starts trying to push you around, okay, you need to invoke your inner barbarian, your masculine energy, to get this little fucking Ron Weasley, pencil neck loser and shove him off. It's like, dude, you do not dictate shit. You can't even dictate to your cat, all right? So don't talk to me, you fucking sniveling simp. And don't dictate to me. People are so miserable because they live in the world where the fucking, you know, like the short boss from The Incredibles, like 3'0" man is like basically commanding Mr. Incredible around, even though Mr. Incredible could absolutely turn that guy into a red paste the second he lands his hand on him. That's what it's like living in modern society, is that you live in a world where you're not dictated to by your betters. You're dictated to by people who can kiss ass the most. By people who either, you know, it's not the steps you take, it's the hands you shake. The people who, by other definitions, are Nepo babies, but, you know, they made it on their own, okay, guys? And Hollywood stars. If you ever have a Hollywood actor try to, like, be the moral authority on anything, tell them to go, like, commit necro. Tell them to go, actually no, print out instructions for a noose, buy them the rope, and hand it to them, okay? Because those motherfuckers don't have the right to dictate to anyone what is morally justifiable. You make millions upon millions of dollars, unrightfully earned, by the way. Well, actually, I don't know. I'm iffy on that, because actors, they bring in the big bucks for a reason, okay? Entertainment is a very valuable thing to the human soul. So maybe they do earn a reasonable, unreasonable amount, okay? We'll just settle on that. But the Roman Republic, the Roman Empire, they knew it best when they saw that actors and prostitutes were basically the same. But for some reason, we only made prostitution, like, half legal. That's another thing in society's laws. How we make things half legal, where it's like, okay, yes, technically you can sell your body, but anyone purchasing your services is the criminal. Yes, you can do drugs in the street, okay, you can possess them, but the person selling them, that's the problem, you know, like. And then you have some, like, midwits, like, oh yeah, and arresting them is going to solve the issue. Yeah, actually, you know, get all the fent and heroin addicts and crack deal addicts, put him, not in jail, but put him in some sort of like forced rehab center. Because we cannot have a functioning society where entire blocks are completely colonized by zombies, completely colonized by lost souls who have unfortunately been completely mentally reaped by these drugs that just, for some reason, as a society, we decided, once again, because we're not operating from a position of strength, we decided that it's just easier to ignore the issue, to allow it to persist, instead of putting our foot down and saying, hey, this is a problem. We need to call in the big guns and get it solved instantly. And of course, there's going to be idiots on the street because the media mobilizes them. There's going to be idiots who, against their own interests, fight for the criminals, for the people who really need help. They're going to fight against their interests because not only does it make them feel like a moral crusader, but they have the backing of the media telling them that it's correct. Like what you see in Minneapolis, right? Which I'm not going to get into that. But America desperately needs to deport, okay? That there's no other two ways about it. Deportation, remigration, it needs to happen across the West. Otherwise, the societies that ancestors took over 2 millennia to build will be gone in a flash. Will be gone in less than a decade. In fact, it's happening before our very eyes. So, really, I just want peace. You know, that's what anyone wants. But you can't have peace when there's active agents setting in turmoil. It's ridiculous to think that anyone accomplished anything by being the peaceful person, by just sitting back and letting others dictate to them. That's not how it works in the world. Might makes, right? Not might makes right, because right is completely subjective on culture for some reason, but might just creates. If you have the power, if you have the ability to stamp your foot down and say, this is mine and this is what I'm going to do with it, that is the only law that matters in the world. Any other law doesn't. If you cannot enforce yourself, if you cannot enforce your right to existence, then you do not deserve your right to existence. And that is how it's been since mankind picked up a bone and started clubbing other people. Okay? And obviously, I'm talking from a very privileged position. You know, I live in a first world country. I grew up fairly lower middle class and whatnot. But it's not like I haven't had to live through struggle. It's not like because I live in a completely different world that my opinion doesn't matter. Everyone's opinion matters. That's basically the liberal ethos that we've taught ourselves, is that every human being, every individual is a protagonist in their own story. So what they have to say matters. Their perspective matters. You could be a 62 IQ fresh off the boat person or a 130 IQ farmer. It doesn't matter where you come from. Your ability to see the world and form it into words, your perspective, that is integral to the modern civilization, because that's what formed the greatest societies on the planet. America was formed on the backs of having nearly everyone be able to say what they want. No longer are they dictated to by someone with the most guns. Now they dictate themselves because they have the guns. Because they have the might to make their own destiny. And that's why all these corrupt liberal and politician types want to take away weapons, and they tell their 3-letter agencies to do these atrocities, to push for more and more control, because they wish to dictate everything. And if you do not have the might, then you cannot make anything. It's very important issue in society. Among the other issues, but staying armed is a primary issue. I don't know. I've been rambling for a good odd hour 15. A lot of thoughts in my mind, and I know they sound disorganized. They are disorganized, but I actually don't care. You know, I feel like you need to be okay with being a bit crude in how you say things. You know, people try to sanitize their image so much that they end up saying nothing at all. And I feel like I say so much that I end up saying only like a few comprehensible things. Okay, hold on. I'm trying to set up this tripod. Give me a second. Oh, it's like locked or something? How does this work? If I place it down and...
Oh, so now they're telling us what we're to buy and what we're not to buy. Right, yeah.
Alright, this thing's fucking broken.
You know, like, it's ridiculous. It's the height of ridiculous. What is?
Alright, fuck it. See, it stands... Oh no. It's gonna fall. Wait. See, this is what I get for trying to fix shit on the fly. Moron. This is gonna be like very weird for the camera. Is it like frozen? Am I just dealing with frozen equipment and I'm just too stupid to realize it? Wait. Maybe that works. Okay. Alright, now we're dealing with something here. Now we can set up the camera. Get two gentlemen going. Let me set this up a bit. There we go. There we go. See, now I'm standing in the middle of a park street, all right, with my tripod, so you don't have to worry about ever getting a shaky camera again, because I'm standing here, and I'll maybe take my small break to bring out a cigar, a fine cigar. I'm sorry, Mom, but I gotta smoke it for the camera. Okay. Listen, if you watch this back and you're angry at me, just so you know, okay, I take this cigar in the chance, in the choice that Canada will one day have a cigar for every civilian. Every man, woman, and child of legal age will be able to pipe down a nice $20 cigar because their country is so prosperous that you can afford to do that. See? Now, I don't look cigarettes. Cigarettes taste absolutely abysmal. If you see anyone having cigarettes, just give them a cigar instead. You know, it's a better addiction to have. I'm joking. I find that out of all the addictions I have, right, which there's like 3 of them, maybe 4. I won't name all of them. And I won't even say that one of those is an addiction. It's more like a passing interest. But out of all the ones I have, smoking is not one of them. I feel like it has to be situational. My appreciation of a cigar, my appreciation of a blunt, you know, it has to be handed out to me. I won't ever personally seek it, because I know that at least in some respects, addiction and its proclivity for smoking runs in one side of my family. Or maybe it's just like a human thing. Which, on that note, how did human beings ever figure that out? How did a human being take a look at a tobacco leaf or anything, roll it up, smash it into a pipe, and start smoking it. When is the earliest recorded smoking? Because we have instruments, right? Like people made flutes and drums all the way back in the Neolithic era. We have proof that that happened. What about smoking? Has smoking been a part of humankind since we first been able to create like this? This is leaves, right? Like this is the tobacco leaves. You roll it up, and you take it and you smoke it. And you got to figure, who was the first person to do that? What was going through their mind that made them think that I'm going to take this, I'm going to take fire, this new invention, and I'm going to apply it and smoke it. And then you're going to teach that to other people, and you're going to sell it, and we're going to start a whole industry around cultivating tobacco. Isn't that kind of insane how anyone figured this out? Like, I get it. We live in the era where everything has already been done before. So progress, advancement is slow. And anytime any achievement is made, it's more of an iteration on an achievement and an improvement rather than a completely new, different invention, right? But the guy to first milk a cow, that one makes sense, okay? Humans produce milk. You look at other creatures that produce milk and say, I wonder how that tastes. That one makes sense. But smoking shit? What is it about humankind that makes us interested in smoking, right? Like, that finds the joy in putting fire to some leaves, inhaling and exhaling, and then smelling admittedly awful afterwards. Is there something pre-written, pre-programmed by God to say, thou shalt cultivate tobacco leaves for the greater glory of the Native Americans? You know? Because if you're going to buy cigarettes in Canada, go to the reservation. Tax-free. Ain't none of that sin tax bullshit. Plus, you're helping out the tribals. You're helping out the bands. They're not called tribes. They're bands, okay? Completely different. Completely different. It's not a nation. It's a tribe. It's not a band. It's a tribe. It's not a sports team. It's a tribe. Everything's a tribe. Mankind, like, okay, if you don't want to be a race realist, be a tribe realist. Be completely oblivious to the existence of ethnicities, of different nations, cultures, races. Just say that all of mankind is organized into tribes, okay? And it has been since civilization first started. Since before civilization first started. A tribe is essentially a family of families, and they all mix and make up this one big group. And that can go for anything. Right? You could be part of an ideological tribe. Like I said, sports teams are kind of like tribes in the sense that while we aren't a family of families in the genetic sense, we are a family in the sense that we all share this love of this game and this particular team, because either that city is where we're from, or like your dad grew up and loved that, so you have some sort of tribal connection to that. Like, look at America. You nationally are an American, but tribally, you might be a Californian, you might be a New Yorker, right, or a Texan. You are part of the many tribes of America. The United Kingdom, all right? The United Kingdom is made up of the English, the Welsh, the Scottish, the Isle of Man, the Northern Irish, and a bunch of other boroughs and groups and ethnicities that make up the multiple tribes of the Anglo-Saxon, which is what culminates in the United Kingdom tribe, all right? I'm not gonna. I will stop calling them that once they get their shit together. Okay. Some of my English viewers, if I have any, might get a little bit angry, but hey, I spent a while shit talking Canada, so I can shit talk the motherland too. And the fatherland, Germany, that's filled with tribes: Bavarians, Berliners, Ingolstadters, or whatever you want to call them, right? tribes is mankind. You can't ever escape this idea that there is an us, there is a them, there is a we. And like Ayn Rand said, the largest minority on the planet is the individual. Because we are pre-wired to think in groups. So we are pre-wired to appreciate a greater community. And that's a good thing. But how seldom is it that a civilization arises that is based on the individual? America, or even France at one point. These were countries that they come from a revolution that puts the individual as the primary driver of the ethos of the nation, right? No longer was it the king, the sole sovereign individual ordained by God, or some party that we all have to pledge allegiance to, right? This massive collective. It's the individual. Your rugged individualism is what will build society through the grace of capitalistic endeavors and your will to overcome the pyramid. Because, most of society was organized where there's a pyramid, you can climb some of it, but you're never ever reaching the top. Or, in the case of India, caste system, there's a pyramid, you're there, you're not moving, your family isn't moving, you can't move out, you can't move in. You are there. That is your place in life as dictated to by Dharma. And, I think, truly, there's got to be some middle ground. Some understanding that hierarchy is important. Hierarchy is the entire reason why we even got here in the first place. But the individual is so vastly complicated that to suffer sticking them into a role that really sucks the soul out of them, it is a crime. It is a crime against the nature of humanity, individualism, and community. And I say all these things mainly because I've been thinking a lot about, my own individualism. Me as a person. I don't fit into any archetype, I don't think. I don't fit into any group. My music tastes have always been all over the place. I can't define one genre that's oh yeah, I'm a real metalhead or a popper, or whatever people call themselves. I've never been able to define myself as a single genre of individual. Right? Because so many people can fit into an archetype of what they are, but individuals are so incredibly complex that it feels kind of disingenuous to try and squeeze them into one group. I don't know. I also think about, legacy and what a lot of people leave behind, or rather, how a lot of people don't leave anything behind. And how really their existence is not even a footnote in history. It's not even a mark. It's not even the fucking page number. It's not even there. Not worth the ink to print. But nowadays, the individual's on such a high pedestal that we effectively made it so that since everyone's a protagonist of their own story, there is now billions and billions of years of content uploaded every single day of people with their own individual protagonist moments. And we've come to a point where history is everyone. History still is about a few individuals dictating what happens, dictating how the world moves forward. But in the grand scheme of everything, nearly everybody on the planet has some footprint within the human story. Before, you would just be some nameless worker, some nameless laborer who would live, work, die just so that they could see their family do the same thing and continue down the line until, until either that bloodline ends or that bloodline becomes popular and famous through some great feat of either warfare or law or whatever. But now, since the world is mostly tamed, mostly peaceful, people struggle to find meaning. So when they truly want to do something, they look towards content creation. They look towards having some sort of entertainment footprint, some sort of philosophical footprint, like what I'm trying to do. Or, I don't know. I feel like there is a giant civilizational cry for help that all of us are ignoring, or at the very least we hear it, but we're all shouting in unison. So how can we address it? Because while religion does the job for most people, a lot of people cannot fill that gap. They either see religion as some sort of tool used to oppress and control, which it has been for some parts of society in some civilizations, but I'm a moral pragmatist. I believe that if your society produces a net inherent good, that means your philosophy is objectively true, which is why Western societies following Christianity, who produce the most successful civilizations the world has ever known, is an objective moral good. So on that note, when the people that do not look at religion as any good and use it as a tool, they still need to fill that gap, because humans have an innate need for worship. Whether or not you're worshiping a god, worshiping another person through a cult of personality, or worshiping yourself, you have a desire to fill that need. So a lot of people who are completely vacant of any metaphysical beliefs, they have nothing to fill it with. This kind of nihilistic atheism that doesn't seek anything outside of what is life. So they seek endless hedonism, the endless liberation of the individual. And they will either fade away into existence, or their internet footprint will be marked down as another degenerate in the long line of a very disgusting era that we're living in. These 2 decades, ever since the end of the Western Golden Age, I would say in 2008. I think 2008 is right where the point where we truly gave up any cultural or national ambitions of protecting ourselves. At that point, there has been a great spiritual cry for help, where a lot of people are just lost, and a lot of people seek hedonism to fulfill the God gap, to fulfill the need for something outside the physical. I think it's also, I don't know. Also, living in a cold country makes alcoholism so much easier. You feel warm with whiskey or rum or whatever. It makes you go to bed earlier. It's dangerous, man. Living in a cold country, it breeds alcoholism. No wonder the English and the Germans and the Nords and the Russians, the Canadians, no wonder they're all alcoholics. Like dog, look at where we live. I kid. I mean, I don't think all of us are. I'm not. Okay? I don't got gout. I don't got the shakes. All right? I'm just a casual drinker that does it like 4 days in a week. Okay. That's a bit much. That's like the longest bender I've went on before. Right? And I think part of it is just like the depression of basically being stuck in one place. Being stuck in Brampton, of all places. The crossroads city that only exists because we need a place to put all our industry and our extra people that are coming in. But I am glad for the life I have. Make no mistake about it. I'm not out here like a DBDR, like depressed
like, oh man, everything's so broken, man. Everything, it's over, man. I ain't got nothing. I ain't got no kids. I ain't got no wife. I ain't got no job.
I got a job. Okay. I make okay money. 19 an hour is not bad. It's better than minimum. And I have good friends. I love visiting Hamilton. It's one of the things that keeps me in the fight. I got a family. I got a place. I don't have to pay rent. I am doing literally better than 70% of Canadians, and yet I'm standing here complaining. I'm sitting here with a cigar in my hand, complaining, saying I want to leave the country. I want to do this. I think it's either a combination of seasonal affective disorder, sad, or I am correct in most of my judgments. It's just that because I have so much time to think about it, I also feel bad about the fact that, dude, I don't have it that bad. I feel bad about the fact that I'm doing okay. And that should speak volumes to the other subject matter about how ideologically buck-broken people are, that they feel bad about having it okay because there's other people suffering. People have suffered all the time, every time. Suffering is existence. Suffering is life. And it's the small things that make it better. It's the small things that make life tolerable. And yet, we want to sit here and say that you're not allowed to complain because your suffering is not as bad as others. I think that's a bit ridiculous. Like I said, everyone's opinion is valid. Everyone's opinion... Well, okay. Everyone's opinion deserves to be listened to. Everyone's opinion deserves to be out there. The validity of their opinion is completely contextual on civilization's opinion at that time, okay? The only reason why so many people hold these leftist ideas in college or university is mainly because they feel like that's the objective opinion to have at this time, so I better hold it, otherwise I'm ostracized. Does not make it valid to have that opinion. It makes it correct in the context of your sitting, or of your situation. I don't know. I don't know. The only thing that I do know is that I don't know anything. Plato. I'm also content with absolutely no one viewing this, because this is more of a black box, more of a record to keep for myself. Like, if there's a found footage film or something being made, you can put this in. Before his descent into madness, he spent 20 minutes in some random park street, smoking a cigar, talking about nonsense. With a camera angle that wasn't quite right. I wonder if I could get it taller. Actually, no, is that the tallest it gets? Probably. Kind of weird. It cuts me off and it looks weird. You're seeing like the lower half of my mouth. Like I'm like the mouth of Sauron. Alright, never doing that again. Before I die, I want to make a movie. I want to make multiple movies. My friends and I from Hamilton were discussing this. So we want to do some action films, some horror films. I have a few ideas, and I've put together a lot of props. I'm doing a lot of like scripts and research into how to make small micro budget films. So I feel like if you have any creative energy at all, you need to put that towards a positive force. Otherwise, you're just wasting away viewing other people's content. I mean, that's part of the reason why I started doing these walk streams to begin with. It's because I have this creative energy, but I'm just kind of wasting it sitting in my room like a caged bird. My best ideas come to me when I'm working, when I'm doing something else, when I'm just doing something completely monotonous, and I go into my mind and start thinking about the multitude of fantasy worlds that I've created, And once I start to try and put pen to paper or fingers to keyboard, for some reason the ideas don't flow as well as they should, right? You have all these great ideas in the moment. You finally sit down to channel that creative energy. And then my brain just goes haywire. It's scatterbrain, and you seem to forget things, and it's all over the damn place. So it's like, I think I need to attribute some of my best ideas to or I think I need to let me restart that statement. I think I need to take some of my best ideas while I am thinking at work, do like a quick, like get like one of those tape recorders, just jot it out, physically speak it. But that doesn't work either, because I consider myself a pretty good talker, but I do a lot of rambling. And then when it comes to explaining my own ideas, my own science fiction, my own worlds, I am completely fucking jumbled. And I feel like it comes from two things. One, I feel like people, they don't want to listen for too long. You know, their opinion, their ability to concentrate on a conversation for longer than 5 minutes is what makes me feel like I gotta rush it all out, rush all these ideas out, and it comes out as like a incoherent kind of mix of cool ideas, but it's just so jumbled that no one takes away anything from it. It's like you explained it in a completely retarded way, which makes it sound like you're a complete moron with zero ideas. And two, I feel like the reason why I explain it so fast, so quickly, is because I just don't know how to. I don't know how to present things with a nuance without people losing interest. I don't know how to present it slowly and with confidence without jumping the gun on some things, right? Like, I feel like when I'm explaining something, like, okay, one of my characters, all right, Vivian Violetta. She is a Florician, 7'5". Floricians are these types of post-humans with grand psychic and physical strength. And she's a mercenary, work for the dark. Like, see right there. I said her name, what she is, her title. I said where she's from, and then I started like talking about what that's from, and then what she works for. And I have to stop myself, and I have to think and reconvene. It's like, man, if I'm stuck doing an elevator pitch for some company, I'm fucked. The executives are going to lose interest. They're going to take their phone out. I'm going to walk out completely embarrassed. Like that episode of Rick and Morty where Jerry's like, apples, who wants some? And he goes home. And then the guy's like, how does that guy go home and fuck his wife? What an embarrassment. So I feel like that sometimes. Also, it could be like, because I'm just talking to a camera right now. And my fucking fingers are freezing. But we'll make it. We all make it. There's nothing really too daunting about explaining things. It's just whether or not other people care to listen, and whether or not they find it as interesting as you do. Because you could have the most brilliant idea in your head, but then once it comes out in this garble of words, you just start to doubt everything you've ever done to that point, because someone you like, someone you respect, either doesn't give a fuck, like they give half of a fuck, or they smile and nod and never ever picked up a single thing that you said, because it's just a garbled mess. Well, I think that's about does it for this stream. That was a very nice walk and a very interesting end to it. I never expected myself to set this up and just start rambling. But I've been your host, the Magalanium, the Kaiser. And if everyone, just like this video, drop a comment saying whatever. Even if you didn't watch this, but you listened to me, tell me what your favorite rant was. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Hopefully next week, or a month, or in the summer, or in the spring, or in the fall. or next winter. Something like that. Goodbye.